What's up, people? Rasati out here in Singapore. I'm back. And you know what? I gotta tell can I just be honest real quick? Can I just confess something very, very quickly? I must have recorded this particular podcast episode at least 3 times now because it's just not coming out the way I want it to. Okay, so here goes. I feel pretty good about today because I've gotten a lot done. I cooked, I did 2 interviews, I am just jazzed and ready to go. The most exciting part of today, though, was let's say the last hour or so. I've been listening to a couple of YouTube videos, and something occurred to me. A lot of times we want to know who we're going to end up with. We want to skip to the end of the story. Like, let's be honest. I want to know who I'm going to be married to so I can just get there already. But that's not the point. And you've heard this before. It's not the destination, it's the journey itself. But let me tell you why. I have to go through the motions. I had to go through my first heartbreak and then open myself up to the second heartbreak, not knowing that it was a heartbreak. I needed to give it my all. I needed to do everything that I could possibly do. I needed to love with all my heart, or all that I thought that I could. And in so doing, I realized that I was capable of more. You see, the more we open up to love, especially after heartbreak, the more we realize our capacity for love. How much love can we hold? How much love can we give? And then also, how much love are we capable of allowing ourselves to receive? And that's the biggest thing, I think, really allowing ourselves to receive love. We are so skeptical. We are so sarcastic and so ready for the other shoe to fall, the carpet to be dragged out from under us, for us to just fall flat on our face. We're so ready for all that. Why? Because we've experienced it before. But what if the next one is the one? And I would encourage you guys to treat the next one as the one every time. Every time. No regrets, just go all out every time. Because when you do that, you allow yourself to heal more. When you shrink away from situations that have caused you pain before, obviously you seem like you're avoiding yourself extra pain, new pain, or familiar pain. But what you're also preventing yourself from is the possibility of love. Let me give it to you in another perspective, shall I? I want to protect my daughter. I want my daughter to be healthy, wealthy, and wise the rest of her life. I don't want her to scrape her knees if she can help it. I don't want her to be rushed off to the hospital for nothing if I can help it. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. But if I become so overprotective and such a helicopter parent that I watch like a hawk over everything that happens to her, I also keep her from experiencing the good things in life. Why? Because I can't tell what's going to hurt her and what's not. No one can. You cannot predict what will hurt you and what will not. All you can do is show up. Show up wholeheartedly to life. When things change, like right now, COVID-19, the circuit breaker, this MCO, whatever you want to call it, these measures that are being put into place so that we actually avoid spreading and contaminating everybody that we know, it's different. It's difficult. It's been a change, a really big bump in the road for a lot of us, but you can either fight what is or you can lean into it and find a new normal. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You could fight the next person that comes up to you and is nice to you. You could fight it and say, oh no, I don't want no love. I don't want another relationship because look what happened before. I get it. I understand. But when you say no to everything in an effort to prevent yourself from experiencing any more hurt, you prevent yourself from experiencing any love or happiness as well. The next person may not be the love of your life. The next person may become your best friend. The next person may become someone who, has a skill set to teach you so that you can get to that next level in your life as far as work is concerned. You never know the role of the next person in your life. You also never know your role in that next person's life. I've had so many situations where I was feeling low and I felt like, I was ready to give up and I was just useless. I didn't know how I was going to get from one day to the next. I can't tell you how many times back in the day when we were able to write checks to pay for stuff, that I would write a check that I knew was going to bounce as long as they didn't cash it within the next 24 hours. And I would do things like, use my debit card knowing that payroll would hit in another couple of hours, hoping that it wouldn't bounce at the check cash register because I just needed to get groceries for the day. And it wasn't like I was doing anything exorbitant with my money. I was getting ready to pay for groceries. I was trying to get to, simple everyday household stuff. And I've had so many times where it did bounce and I felt super embarrassed and stupid as hell. But I've also had moments where it bounced and the person behind me paid for my groceries. I've had those moments too. You never know. Sometimes that person that's next, that crosses your path next, is the hand of God for you. It is the person that you've needed to see to remind yourself, hey, you know what? Just fight one more day. Just fight one more day. Keep it together one more day and you'll be all right. Just get from this place to the next place. You'll be all right. I don't know how many times I've pulled over on the side of the road in the U.S. because I had a flat tire. And obviously I had car insurance and I would call, AAA at the time when I first started, and then it was eventually Geico, to ask for roadside assistance. And eventually somebody would drive up and park behind me and they would ask if they could help me. Now, I've had so many situations also where I didn't get out the car. My gut instinct said, do not get out this damn car. People have pulled in behind you or whatever. Do not get out the car. You got kids in the car. Just stay where you are. And if you need to, call 911 to check and see if, somebody that's been dispatched is like an official somebody. Because unbeknownst to most of y'all, there are initiations for gang members in the U.S. sometimes where they are told to pull over for anyone who is a pedestrian on the side of the road, and their job is to actually off that person in order to be initiated into the gang. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. But I know in my gut that if I just trust, I will be taken care of. This universe is here to support me. There have been so many times where as a high schooler, I didn't think that anybody cared, and there would be somebody random who'd come up with a kind word. There were so many times where I was knock-kneed terrified of delivering a speech in speech class, and one of the older guys, in one of the upperclassmen would come up and say, hey, you're doing a great job, and it was somebody I didn't even think knew my name. So I've had so many of those situations, and if I didn't lean into those opportunities, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, in the realm of love, my advice to you is don't worry about who you're supposed to end up with. Give it your all. Be yourself in front of the next person. Be yourself, unapologetically yourself in front of the next person, and see how that goes. And if they're the right person, they'll stick around and you have another opportunity to be yourself again and see if they stick around again. And if not, they'll walk away and it's okay. But don't look for that end goal. Don't look for where you're supposed to be. Don't look for that prediction. Where's the fun in that, actually? Look for the next person that you can be a part of their life somehow. And even the smallest of experiences really do have a major impact depending on where that person is in their journey. A lot of times I've had people that, I had a brief conversation. I didn't even know, if we were ever going to see each other again. I've had so many people who were part of a process, like maybe we were on a project together, or maybe we were part of a team for a short time because, we worked together for a short time, and you never know the kind of impact that you have on those people because you took the time to explain something to them that they were being made to feel stupid for not knowing. I've had so many people like that. I had a young lady who was part of my team for a moment. I was actually training her to become my replacement, and she was having a really tough time. She didn't understand the process of marketing a video game, and at the time, I don't know what she had going on in her life, but from our side of things, it didn't look like she was very committed to the job either. But I knew that she was a single mom and she was trying to keep it together. Her child was in another country with her parents, and she was just trying to do the best she could to work here in Singapore and send the money back home. Now, I hadn't seen her face in a very, very long time, and I know for a fact that she talked about me behind my back a couple of times, but I did reach back out when I saw the chance to connect again, and I asked her how she was doing, if she's okay. And the fact that I even remembered her and had put aside our differences made that much of a difference to her. I know it did, because she wrote back to me and she was like, what, I didn't think you'd ever speak to me again. And I'm sorry for the way I behaved back then, but your kindness then and your kindness now, it really speaks volumes of your character. And that was very sweet to me. I felt like that was a very, very humbling moment, because that means that I have not changed. I am still myself. I am still whatever I claim to be, right? I am myself unapologetically 24/7, 7 days a week. And I'm happy being that. There have been moments where people that I didn't think would ever reach back down and give me a helping hand have actually done that. There was a time I remember as a temp at Lumber Liquidators, and my temp, the job was coming to an end, the contract was coming to an end, and I'd finished everything I had to do. And the guy that was in charge, that was my supervisor at the time, asked me, hey, would you like to sign on full time? And I was like, oh, well, hell yeah, I'd like to feed my family. So yes, I would like to feed my family, and I would love to do it working with you guys, because I already know the data. I was a data entry analyst at the time, and having been through all of the samples department data, I knew what the business was doing, and I knew from a different viewpoint what needed to be done to plug some of the holes that were on the production line. So when he asked me, I was excited. And then he told me something that I will never forget. And it's nothing any other employer has ever done for me before. He asked me, how much would you want to work for? He asked me to quote a price, and I was like, well, $20 an hour would be great. And it's the most I've ever made before. And he said, why not ask for 25? And he told me the power of bargaining is if you shoot a little bit higher than you actually need, chances are you get the price that you actually want. Now, if you shoot for the price that you want right off the bat, you're going to get less than that because they're going to want to bargain anyway. They're going to want to, negotiate with you. So I've had people like that in my life as well. But if I didn't show up, if I didn't lean into that opportunity, I wouldn't have had them give me that next step. They wouldn't have felt the need to, offer more because I was genuine, because I was asking in earnest, because I was being authentic. I was being exactly who I was without pretense, without pretending I knew more, without padding my resume, any of those things. They could tell by my work ethic and the way that I delivered that I deserved more. So like I said, when it comes to work, and yes, these are all like life experiences, work experiences, when it comes to love, because we're so timid, we're so worried about, getting hurt again, right? But how will you know if you're going to get hurt again if you don't give it your all? And honestly, if you come at it from, I was just hurt and I don't want to get hurt again, you're going to be timid. You're going to hold back from the love that you could possibly show. And that actually does yourself a disservice as well. Because what if the other person's looking at it the same way? Then both of you have kind of missed a great opportunity to get to know one another for who you really are. Another example I want to give you is, let's say you fell off your bike and you really scratched up your knees, really tough injury that you're coming back from or whatever. The next time you get on your bike, if you're tender with that same leg, if you don't give it your all, if you don't pedal with both legs, at the same capacity, chances are you're going to end up falling off that bike one more time. Same thing with riding a horse. If you've fallen off a horse ever, and animals can really sense, your confidence level as well, and they depend on your confidence level a little bit because they need to know that you trust them as much as they can trust you. And if you come at it from I'm timid, I'm scared, they can sense that, and chances are you'll end up falling off again as well. So rather than give yourself that, what is that word I want to say? It's not an incapacity, it's a handicap. Instead of giving yourself that handicap walking into the game itself, why not give it your all? Why not be all of who you are? Because you can. And see if the other person responds in kind, because you being all of yourself gives most people the permission to be themselves as well. It's a confidence thing. It's when you're confident, they seem more at ease. If you're already like, I'm checking you, I'm watching every move you make, I want to make sure that you're the one or whatever, they can feel that energy transcends as well. And they can feel that energy, and chances are they respond in kind. So for those of you out there timid about love, you'd rather wall up and just avoid it entirely rather than try once again, I would encourage you to try. Try, but try with all your might. And I'm not saying go stalker crazy on them. I'm talking about be all of you. Be as silly and as comfortable and as goofy as you could possibly be. And maybe, just maybe, that puts them at ease enough for them to be goofy and silly as well. And maybe you have something in common that way. So rather than want to know who you're going to end up with, give it your all every chance you get. Chances are you'll find some great friends along the way as you get on this journey toward finding the one you're meant to spend the rest of your life with. Because yeah, I do believe in happily ever after, which doesn't mean it's going to be happy all the time ever after, but I'm with the person I'm meant to be with. And both of us are happy working on it together. Both of us are invested. And that's what I believe in. You don't have to. That's perfectly fine. But if you're looking for a little bit of inspiration, if you're looking for another excuse to just try, I'm going to say go for it. And I'm going to say go for it with all your heart. Open up. Really be yourself and see what happens. Because if you're going to go at it half-ass, you're denying yourself the opportunity too, honestly. All right, you guys, I hope you had fun on this podcast episode. I hope you got some clarity, a little bit of inspiration. I felt inspired. I suddenly realized, why I shouldn't be wondering if this person is the one or not. Part of that is because I was listening to something about twin flames, and there is such a thing as a false flame. Someone that appears to be a twin flame, but isn't, and their part in the journey is to show you that you're capable of so much more love than you thought previously. And by doing that, they've made sure that you open up and you're ready for the next person that's meant to be with you. And even then, even if the next person right after isn't the right one, at least you know that you're capable. For example, once I left my husband, I didn't want to get married again. I didn't want to be in a relationship ever again because, first of all, that meant that somebody had to accept my child as well. And I have very high standards for my daughter, and I don't want anyone to be there to hurt her. But that also means that I walled myself up, and I was ready to run the rest of the road, the rest of the race on my own. And as great as that could be, it would be even better for my daughter to see what a real relationship could look like, because the first influence on her love life is my relationship with whoever I'm with. And I want it to be a great relationship. I want it to be something that's stable and helpful to her so that she knows what's normal and what's not, and what's acceptable and what's not. And in that regard, I needed to have somebody drop into my life out of nowhere and remind me that not only am I capable of great love, but I deserve it too. And life could be so much more fun if you had a partner by your side. And no, I'm not saying, to all the aunties that have tried to set me up since that, yes, I have to be with a husband and I can't live life without a. No, it's not like that at all. I can absolutely live by myself. But it would be more fun and it would be more fulfilling, I think, and more satisfying to have someone to share it with, someone to witness your life with you, right? So it wasn't until this false flame appeared in my life that I realized, hey, you know what? I do want to get married again. And if weather permits, if God permits, I would like to have another child. And I think it would be really amazing for my daughter to get to know somebody in a father capacity outside of my two brothers. So it wasn't until I gave my all to this one relationship and then realized that it wasn't the one for me that I realized the capacity I had for love in my life. And so that's why I'm telling you, look, whoever crosses your path, I'm not saying go jump in bed with them right away. I'm saying get to know them. Be yourself with them. Allow them to really get to know you. And if it's a good match, great. Maybe you can be really good friends first. And if it's not a good match, that's cool too. At least you know. And it's not to say that you're a bad person or you have bad habits or any of those things. It's to say that they don't match with you, and that's okay. And it might be on them, and it might be on you, but it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't mean you need to change at all. It just means that's not your tribe member. So for those of you out here who are nursing a broken heart, healing some old wounds, maybe grieving a relationship that's been newly deceased, I want to remind you guys, there is love out there for all of you. You are capable of great love, and denying yourself the opportunity to show it is only doing you a disservice. Because I really believe this thing that's called karma. And my idea of karma is that whatever you put out into the world comes back to you. And it doesn't always come back to you in the same place that you gave it out from. It usually comes back to you when you need it most, in the unlikeliest of places. So many people have shown me kindness and they weren't related to me. They didn't expect anything back. I never saw them again, but they saved my life on more than one occasion. And I know that that would not have happened for me if I hadn't given love wherever I could as well. So be brave. Don't be so shy. Don't hold yourself back. Do what you got to do. Go show love. It's worth it. And I will catch you again soon. Bye, y'all.